Hello and ZKGM, everybody. Welcome to the Union Hall cast. I, as short viewers will note, am not Corel. I'm filling in for him today. I'm Steven, CMO of Union Labs. We have two wonderful guests with us today. So we have Dylan from Conduct and Robert from Native. And to start off, I'd love to have y'all introduce yourself and let the viewers know a little bit about you and your projects. So, Dylan, why don't you start off?
Hi, I'm Dylan. I'm the CEO of Conduct Protocol. We're on a mission to turn every smartphone on Earth into part of the world's most decentralized financial network, starting with a Bitcoin secured mobile native blockchain that literally anyone can run in their pocket.
Cool, Robert.
Hey everyone. I guess I'm obliged to say ZKGM rather than hey. So
Thank you.
ZKGM world. um, I'm Robert, co-founder of Native, and yeah, super happy to be here. I'm OG in Cosmos actually. I used to be a lead dev in Cosmos SDK, so super happy to be a guest in a union, which is a Cosmos chain, and really embracing the whole tech that we've been building and moving it to the next level. But yes, here my story took me to founding Native, and Native is the most advanced Bitcoin interoperability protocol. So this plays very well with Union mission, bridging the world, and I guess we will talk more about it in a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as keen viewers may have also noted, we got a couple of people who are big into Bitcoin. So, probably gonna be talking a lot about Bitcoin this time.
Everyone is
Um,
big in Bitcoin. Bitcoin just reached
I
the
know,
all-time high
right?
yesterday, right? Yet another one. I mean, how many
Yeah.
times we got all-time high this year with Bitcoin? How many times we had all-time high with any other coin this
I
year?
mean, it's probably gonna be a few more times. So we got half a year left. So. Um, but okay, why don't we start off with Dylan? So I was curious, what inspired your team to build Conduct as a mobile-first Bitcoin sidechain? Like, how did your background shape that, or just like the idea?
Yeah. So Sean and I, my co-founder, we've worked together for several years, and we grew to respect each other and really love the other person's kind of input and knowledge and research into crypto. And I think we ultimately decided to start with Bitcoin and mobile for a variety of reasons. So one of those reasons was we I think, if you've been in crypto, I've been in crypto for 10 years next year. So it's been a really long time, and I've seen so many cycles. I've seen so many different things that have happened. I started my career actually working in Asia, in Hong Kong, at an OTC desk and a market maker called Eigen Capital. And when I was living between Beijing and Hong Kong, because I went to Tsinghua on a full scholarship for my graduate degree, I saw that there was a very high demand in 2018 for Bitcoin, 2018 and 2019, and that people were actually using it to do a variety of things. One of the main things that they were using it actually was as a store of value. And actually, at the time that I was living in Beijing, the renminbi, which is the people's currency, it's their version of the dollar, was more volatile a lot of the time than Bitcoin was. So I think that experience made me realize that there was going to be this insane appetite, this huge market for probably ever for this one asset. And so, of course, we saw Ethereum, we've seen everything else. And I think the only real asset that Sean and I have 100% faith has reached product market fit is Bitcoin. And I know that that might seem maybe rude or maybe not polite to people even in Ethereum or Solana, but that is genuinely how we feel. We feel that it's the only currency that if we worked in it and if we built things for it, we would know with our whole 100% hearts and 100% certainty that it would be worth it. And so that was why we were like, okay, well, we need to build in Bitcoin. We need to be building Bitcoin tech. And we need to be thinking very long term what's going to be happening. And if people are going to be actually storing their wealth, a lot of their wealth in this coin, what are they going to want to do with it? And then we kind of went from there. And what actually happened was we had built this entire chain, and then we were kind of working together earlier this year, and we had decided that there was this component missing, which is that we started to realize that there really wasn't anything on mobile for crypto. And we were just literally on a call like this doing something technical. And Sean was just like, how many blockchains can you run full nodes on your mobile device? And then I was like, wait, I don't think there are that many. So then, of course, we went down this rabbit hole. And then we were like, this is brilliant if you could just do almost everything from your phone, if that could just be the go to market. And that is how we kind of conceived of everything, because I think, of course, we do have desktop functionality and optionality, but I think that as phones have gotten more powerful, you couldn't do this 10 years ago, right? So that's why this is very timely. And so phones are essentially small computers, and I think it's going to be amazing when people start adopting Conduct, because it's going to be very seamless. And yeah, so we're in a private testnet right now, but that was how we thought of it.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I can say from like the Union end, the a huge percentage of people use like the Union app are doing it all from mobile. So as a simple part, making sure to design user-facing applications like from mobile first principles is hugely important. Going a step further and doing that for a bunch of the back end, running a node, other stuff like that. Um, that's incredibly cool. One of the reasons we're so happy to have Contact as one of our Union fellows. Um, but Robert, what drew you to build native, especially in such a different way? Many of the other solutions are wrapped BTC solutions, but y'all are going more for real Bitcoin. What kind of led to that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a protocol engineer. I'm also a founder, right? I already founded a few startups, and my background is in commodity trading. So in between 2012 2016, I was working in private banking and then commodity trading. Actually, my first startup was 2017. When I moved to crypto, was related to energy trading, smart grids, but that was way too early and way before the any adoption phase that was coming. So I always like to explore new areas, right? And my interest was really more about the operations, how we can what and how we can innovate. Yeah, so I mean, Dylan made a perfect pitch how to basically where is the opportunity, financial user opportunity. What I'm looking at here is how to actually make it working, right? So Bitcoin is there for since the beginning of Web3. Yeah, so it's nothing new. It's dominating the market, but zoom out. How the Bitcoin is used. Everyone knows about Bitcoin. Yes, if you go to street, who knows about some altcoins. Yes, like you even if you mention probably Solana, right? You would already probably lose like 90% of the people, right? If you ask about I don't know Atom, yes, you lose like 99% of the people. But if you ask Bitcoin, I would say like everyone knows about Bitcoin. So so given that this is like really dominating asset, how it is used. Bitcoin being the Web3 native asset, the OG asset, the dominant asset, it's not used in Ethereum. It's not used in Cosmos. It's not used in Solana. It doesn't have the real adoption, right? It's only like about a little bit more than 1%, 1.5% in the latest calculation I was doing. Yes, being used in Web3, but less than that actually is even being used in a yield protocols, DeFi protocols. Yeah, so the gap is huge, and we were investigating. We were looking at what's the problem, why there's no solution. I mean, we see the applications like Rootstock. I mean, Dylan, yes, you're building the Bitcoin kind of a layer, right? So you also like are in that space, yes. rootstock stacks, those are like these OG projects that are there, but we could argue they don't have any adoption, right? How many users are there? At the same time, Ethereum was growing with their own, their, the ICO boom, creating new assets, creating new tokens, altcoins, and all that part stuff. Yeah, Solana, meme coin mania. People that didn't have a good, solid access to Bitcoin. Ethereum folks were more interested in their own ecosystem rather than they're like really. I mean, even I remember like 4 years ago when there was the how they call it merge, right? Transition from proof of work to proof of stake. People were still thinking about Ethereum flipping Bitcoin. These days,
Hmm.
nobody talk about it, right? But there was no that interest, right? So the protocols that were growing on Ethereum were not really focusing on Bitcoin. Now everyone wants to tap Bitcoin because Bitcoin keeps dominating, keeps growing. So even though today we have 1,000 times more assets, Bitcoin didn't dilute. Yes, if you see
Yeah.
growth of the in general in the capital markets of the world, most of the capital dilutes in the global share and heavily dilutes. It's because the global wealth is growing very, very fast.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
Bitcoin.
it's not kind of like a big hot take to say that as far as tokens go, Bitcoin is the one that has product market fit. No
Yeah,
other
so Bitcoin.
protocols have it, but token wise,
Yeah,
it's
so
just Bitcoin.
Bitcoin doesn't do that's very key observation here, right? And now like people are realizing it that many of the protocols they lost the game. Many of the tokens turned out to be a shitcoin. But getting this Bitcoin, getting the liquidity, it's very, very important. Using it is very important. So this is what the problem we want to solve. This is what we want to enable. This is how we want to make money as well. Yes, providing that Bitcoin, making it, providing access to Bitcoin in a Web3 native way. That we are called native. Yeah, so we took all our strength, our experience. So my background building the core protocols, being also like one of the core developers in Ethereum, like I said, leading Cosmos. Also my financial background. Shiva, my co-founder, is coming from Facebook. He was a lead at Facebook. Then he was a director at Polygon. A few other people that are in our team. We have Wu, who was a ZK engineer at Ethereum Foundation, and by the way, also like working with me for a while for one protocol in Algorand. Stan, good experience also in Algorand a year. Zhao, his past experience with few Bitcoin projects. Everyone in the team is really strong, has a track records of achievements. So we are, we're really proud of it. And, our mission is again, provide the access, the Web3 native access to Bitcoin as it's supposed to be. And we already see enormous interest. I mean, here with Union, we've been talking about it's not simple. I mean, many people try it, but it's not simple. And we have this unique cryptography that enables it. And then we can just plug in ZK IBC from Union, and you guys do the work, right? So our mission is really get that plugin without compromising on security, without compromising on the Web3 ethos, the Bitcoin ethos, and then let the people cook.
No, I absolutely love that. Yeah, it's a core part of Union's ethos to do interoperability in our case, but really anything that we build without
Yeah, so you can
compromising.
think
It's
about it,
not.
but I mean, you have this, like at some point, talking about, okay, you are layer 0 or whatever. Yes, we don't talk about those layers. We just, provide, okay, here's how you plug into Bitcoin, and then, there can be thousands of interfaces, and there's so much innovation, and we want like everyone to innovate here. This is, how the world works, how we move forward, because we let people
Yeah,
innovate,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
Union
Speaking of
definitely innovates on a ZK bridging, making like this amazing interfaces. Yes, that's super cool, and contact. Sorry, right? Has also like track of records with innovation. So cool to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of, I mean, you brought up interfaces and innovation. So, Dylan, we talked a little bit about how phones are just small computers. in a space where mobile is often an afterthought, like what does building mobile first actually unlock? Like both for end users, but also for developers.
Yeah. So that's such a good question because the truth is, we didn't want to have to build everything from scratch. We genuinely, a
Smart.
lot of crypto is open source, it's forked, that's fine, that's beautiful. But I think the main thing that we realized was that if we're actually targeting mobile devices, we're going to have to design the technology for mobile devices. Like we're going to have to make a very efficient blockchain. We're going to have to do all of these things. We're going to have a centralized blockchain, but then we're also going to have a decentralized blockchain so that the consensus can be fully decentralized and the nodes can be on everyone's phone. And so I think the main reason we really started with the mobile devices is because first, so we did a ton of research and Carol actually echoed this, which is beautiful. The original adoption of Ethereum was so high because in markets like Nigeria, people were using their phones to actually mine it, right? So we started to think, okay, if we could have like this network that isn't just a net new network, but it actually um, is designed to make Bitcoin stronger. We'll have product market fit in that way. And then if we do it on a phone, we'll have extra product market fit. So we started to realize that we just want to make things easier for people. And the truth is, even like I think the average person doesn't want to have to open up their laptop if they want to access their bank account or just thinking of my own life, but then also all of the stuff that we're doing, right? So I think that is kind of what happened. Like if people are going to start using crypto, like for example, stablecoins, we've seen this like in their day-to-day life, then they're going to have to do it in a way that's really basic and where the wallet kind of is an everything app. And so that's where that kind of came from. So like one of the examples is like we know the stablecoin market is massive, over $227 billion. People are using stable coins because their own currencies are hyperinflating, but the user experience is horrific. I mean, if you actually download a lot of these apps, if you download the other wallets, if you look at the bridges, everything just does not work properly. Like, I've been in crypto for so long, and every time I try to use MetaMask or like any other wallet, it's just kind of like, wow, that took like 4 or 5 or 6, transactions. And then even each block explorer is not standardized, so that's 10 times more confusing, that it's not intuitive. So we realized a few things. So we realized that if we focus on UI UX, that's something a lot of people aren't even doing. But then if we also make people understand that they can trust us, they can trust us because we're not a centralized exchange, we're not FTX, we're not custodying your assets. We really do think like that's important. And so most people usually have to trust the centralized exchanges, the custodial wallets or apps that don't really actually run locally on their phone in a secure way, whereas ours does. So you end up with the same bottlenecks that you see in traditional systems, banks, payment processors, giant tech companies that are gatekeepers, which is not the point of crypto. Crypto is
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
having, yeah, it's about like it's about having sovereignty and independence and free speech and the right to privacy. And so with conduct, we flip everything around. Users will always have custody of their money and their Bitcoin. There's no single authority that can rug or freeze the funds. You get lightning fast transactions, so you can actually do things with your Bitcoin. You can earn with your Bitcoin. And we're also going to bring different functionality like lending down the line, et cetera. So we're basically finally giving different components of crypto, including stablecoins, the rails they've always promised. So with each transaction, we've built it to run on your phone seamlessly. But we do just create a world where there is sovereign money that anyone can use anywhere on the phone that they already have.
No, that's incredible. It's long been a bugaboo of mine that crypto UI is terrible. It's which I always tell people it's still crypto's still new.
Yeah.
Just we're such a loud new industry. Like when other industries are this young, people don't you don't hear about them. They're nowhere. We're just a very loud new industry, so it becomes very obvious. But you try to do all sorts of things, and you're like, the UI is terrible. I'd rather
Yeah.
go back to
Yeah.
Binance or Coinbase, and you're like, no, no, I work in this. I shouldn't be saying. But we have to get the UI to where it's that friendly, and we have to be where people are, which is definitely in literally every country on the planet mobile. In many countries, only mobile. So I think
I
that's
wa-
very smart.
I want to second on that, right? Like, I really admire like you guys that, trying to target the mobile users because, this is how people are using basically, how people are interacting with the technology and assets. Like, okay, I mean, always I'm much faster writing on my laptop, right? I don't like when I need
Mhm.
to write something on mobile, but it's a mobile that I have. It's a mobile I'm getting the notifications. When I go to shopping, I'm using my mobile. I stop already using my credit card, right? Because I can just get my
Oh,
mobile
it's
and
all
I
on
can
there.
forget
Yeah.
about my wallet, right? And I can put some limits. It's safe. I feel really cool with that, right? So it's just like less things to worry about, right? And mobile is the interface. So if you think about Web3, mobile is today already the interface. Like, even though if you want to do a transaction, the mobile wallet is so much better than the browser wallet,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
it's, it's really
Yeah.
better. And then you have the passkeys that are already there. That it makes you like increase the security. Browser is not secure. Yes, really need to enhance the passkeys. Really need to I mean, majority of the users, if I, for example, look like with my family, right? They prefer mobile. If I ask them to install this or something else here on the desktop, like you lose already 70% of the people, right?
Yeah.
But interacting with mobile, this feels natural for most of the people. So mobile
Yeah.
is definitely the way to go, and super happy that you are doing this, guys.
So you brought up something that I kind of want to poke in on a little bit more. So you mentioned passkeys. So I know Native is very, intentional about their user onboarding using passkeys, ZK login, things like that. How are you using things like this to make, interacting with Bitcoin like truly one click?
Yeah, good question actually. So we don't like reinvent here a wallet or something like that. We don't create like any new wallet technology, right? The way how this works is we basically in our what we call the Bitcoin Yield Hub, we add some authentication layer that using ZK. So technically it's called a ZK login. That's a tech invented by Sui. We are able to authenticate users through different wallets. So with the ZK, yes, we can basically verify the whole transaction, the intention, and then route it correctly, right? And then, so imagine that there is a user, Alice from Ethereum network. She wants to get Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin on Bitcoin chain, not like, some wrapped Bitcoin. So how does it work? Is like with a single click, he makes her intent, and then basically we will authenticate it and put it into the right protocol that will do it, right? So union guys, you are creating some intent networks that can solve it. I don't care about it, right? So if this is supposed to be, let's say, solved on union on a, let's say, Cosmos environment, yes, then we will put that transaction there and you execute it, right? And user gets his Bitcoin, right? Because it will have to be routed through some exchange, right? To buy the Bitcoin. I mean, the centralized exchange, obviously, right? To sell this, USDC from Ethereum, and yeah, we just provide the access, the secure access to Bitcoin. Yeah, so you can then the DEX will basically send the Bitcoin to that address. So it's really an authentic. So the single click is about like using ZK only for the authentication of the transaction, right? And then everything else is solved in the multi-chain world, right? For bridging technologies, which is normally today not possible on a Bitcoin with a Bitcoin.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so basically taking care of a lot of the
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so we
decisions
have
that
already
crypto users have to make, you just take care of it through intents or what have you.
correct,
It's just
correct,
route it
correct.
to where it needs to go.
So
Okay,
all
makes
of
sense.
that, all of that as a coordination, yes, like we authenticate, and then the way how it works. Okay, like send it through a bridge, whatever. This is done on Sui. Yes, we put, like, we call Sui our home now,
Mhm.
and but then like for the interchain interactions, yes, we've been already chatting for a year, I guess. No, a bit less than a year. We started September, October last year. Yes, we got this partnership with Union, and we are waiting for your final integration with Sui. I guess you already have some testing. That's the
Yeah, it's
latest
it's
I was
it's at the
hearing.
top of the list. I happen to know.
Yeah, there are
There's a
already
few names
two.
at the top, so
Uh, Correct.
yeah. Fantastic. Dylan, so I'm just kind of curious, Conduct's pretty new. What's one challenge you faced in building Conduct that most people, outside of the project, like probably don't appreciate or might not understand?
I think the hardest part about building it was not actually building it. The hardest part was the amount of research we have had to do on a daily basis to make sure we're using the optimal tech, right? Because in crypto, literally things get outdated in like 4 weeks. Or, I mean, so it's funny actually. So, what I'm so glad that we found you, Union, because we were interviewing three other interoperability protocols as maybe like 7, 8, 9 months ago. And the funny thing is, like, one of them actually, I wouldn't say they ran out of money. I think they had to pivot, but they were pretty big, and we were negotiating with them, and we were actually going to hire an engineer to help us integrate their technology. And so that's number one, the hardest part. The hardest part is not actually building everything. Sean is a once in a generation engineer, and we also have a team of 8 part-time people, part-time engineers, and then one really, really well-known technical researcher named Ian Clark, who invented this thing called Freenet, which is like a decentralized version of the internet. He's amazing, but he actually helps us with research because he his research is super, 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 super central to the decentralization stuff, and we could not be more grateful to have him on our team. But anyways, that's the hardest part. The hardest part is that you could want to use this piece of technology, but then there's a lot of moving pieces, and then that technology that you wanted to use actually, like they decided to pivot, they didn't want to do interoperability. And then there obviously hacks and security is a huge issue. We were actually going to integrate this other technology, and they were hacked, and so we decided not to. And so even just doing things like reading audit reports and calling audit firms and saying, hey, we're thinking of having this part of our tech stack. How long did the audit take? Did you just do one audit? And kind of realizing that many people are not really doing test nets like Union is doing. They're not really they're a little bit laissez-faire. I would say that's the hardest part because
Mhm.
we're very not laissez-faire. We've done 3 audits. We're actually going to be doing continual audits once we launch as well. And so I just think not many people take that seriously in the way that they should.
Yeah, I think it's funny you bring up the testnet thing. I think testnets can be half like, a way to introduce the product to the community or to the world or whatnot, but at the root, they're just about testing. They truly are what they say they are. Like it's important to test these technologies to make sure that they actually work, to battle test them in as near, real time circumstances or worse than real time circumstances many times. And it's like, sometimes they're a little broken, a little weird, a little goofy, and it's like, well, that's fine because we're testing this technology in, all sorts of situations. And it's just important to do that. So we'll keep running the R testnet after public mainnet is live, because Union is very, very intent on making sure the technology is good. It's the reason we've always vibed with the Conducts team. Um, Also, now that I know what you say about Ian, I really feel like the next time we're all at like a conference or something, we need to take Ian and Hussein and lock them in a room for a while because we'll all get on some days and Hussein will just have some new like research thing some thread he's been tugging
Yes.
at and be like, I'm pretty sure we can do this, we do this and this and this. I'm like, I don't
He's such
understand
a
most of
geek.
that,
Like,
but
we can text him a question and he knows the answer immediately. I'm like, who is this? Is he God? Like, who is this person?
I
I
love it. I
literally
love it.
fly to Texas to see him. I love him. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Um, so speaking of testnets, Robert, I know Native just recently wrapped up a big testnet phase. Um, what insights did you get from that, or how are they informing your push forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely people are dope for Bitcoin. They really want to see Bitcoin like being directly used in a Web3 native way in many protocols, right? Obviously, our testnet was focusing on SUI. We are planning to launch the second testnet with a proof of concept for this, multi-chain that I was talking about, but we see growing adoption. We started to launch a Believers. And Dylan, I need to invite you for Believers. Are
Yes.
you Bitcoin Find Believer?
Yes.
So, so we launched the Believer campaign. It's like Beam, Bee is our mascot, but Bee is also this nice creature that basically makes so much good to the world, right? Like without bees, actually, our nature would be dead. Yeah, like
Yeah.
nature can survive without human. Nature can survive without all the predators, but nature cannot survive without bees. Um, so the believer program is like to make this Bitcoin finance, make Bitcoin in Web3 really happen. Like I said at the beginning, only 1.5% is really used in Web3. And the believers program is to really activate it, work together. Nobody can do it alone.
Yes.
There's so many things that we need to get. Bitcoin mindshare is there. Bitcoin Web3 mindshare is not there. Yes, you can think about, okay, Bitcoin is, like I said, Web3 dominant Web3 asset. Everyone knows it's a cryptocurrency, but there is no Web3 mindshare about it. People to use Bitcoin in a Web3 way. I hope through mobile, through those devices, through better UX, we will get there, right? Providing an easy access. It has to be installed from the Google Play or App Store, right? Without like people asking, like going through different limitations. And what I'm trying to say is that like then going to a shop, use it for payments, all these different things, many ways that we can enable it, but we need to get that mindset. We need to build it. This mindset doesn't exist in the world yet, right? I mean, of course, we are aware about it because we are insiders, but we are living in that small corner. Even today, I remember I was talking with one investor, and he was saying to me that oh yes, like we were talking about some timeline. I was telling him something like 3 months, and he says, oh yeah, 3 months is like 3 years in the traditional world. I said no, like the world is moving so fast. To be honest, I see crypto now being slower than like fintech or AI or web in general. Yes, we spend too much time, like our own corner without looking at, how the stock market is moving, how, hardware market is moving, how many other things are moving, right? I mean, there's so much information, but information grows, moves faster and faster. Now with AI, like we can resonate faster and faster, right? Uh, there are many things that we cannot observe. I mean, cannot see easily as we try to find some solution using a crypto Twitter. How many people are using crypto? Sorry, Twitter, right? It's not a source of truth. If you go to the big trading desk, macro level, yes, they give a shit about Twitter. Really, like the world doesn't move, the dollar doesn't move because of the Twitter. The Bitcoin doesn't move because whatever is happening on Twitter. Maybe some shitcoin moves because of something that's happening on Twitter, but this is meaningless, right?
I think you're right. I will say, I mean, obviously the one exception to that was when Elon Musk and Trump had a Twitter fight, right? Like Tesla
There
stock
is
went
that,
up
but
15%.
Yeah, but the fight was in. I mean, the fight was in Twitter, but the fight was propagated through TV, through news, global news,
That's true.
right? Right? People give a shit that the fight was happening on Twitter, right? It was propagated by the global media. Of
That's
course,
true.
Twitter is part of the global media, but to be honest, if I wouldn't get it through my newsfeed, or I wouldn't even know about that.
yeah,
I mean, not
and
the Twitter use newsfeed, right? If I wouldn't
technically
get it
that
through,
I was going to say technically that feud also involved True Social, but 12 people use that. It's only one person anybody pays attention to. So yeah, no,
yeah,
I see what you
Well,
mean.
and that also involved the president of the United States, so
Yeah,
it's a little
sure,
different.
kind of relevant. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, the most powerful man in the world. I mean, let me ask you about that fight. How did you first time learn about that fight? Did you get it through some, I don't know, podcast, newsletter, email, some, I
No,
don't know,
definitely Twitter.
on a
Yeah,
Twitter?
I mean,
I think I
I'm
learned
in
it.
marketing.
Okay.
I have to be on Twitter all the time. So bad person
Yeah,
to
but
ask
no, the
me.
first time, how did you find about it? For me, I think I found it the first time about it in one of the news. I'm not sure
It
which
was
portal
probably
now,
in,
right? But one of
if it
the
wasn't
one of
Twitter,
the
it was a
news.
newsletter for me. I'm a big newsletter reader, so it's one of those two.
Yeah, I mean, same. So either newsletter or someone sharing this to me, but not that I basically I don't spend that much time on the Twitter, right? But it's not that I opened the Twitter and I saw it there. It got to me in some other way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true. It doesn't move
And what
the
my point is that
conversation
like
as much.
my thesis is that like 95% of the for 95% of the world, right? It came through another through that some other ways. Let's say uh, uh, market global marketing.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, I wanted to touch base quick on something that you spoke about, just kind of to give a chance to kind of expound on it. So you mentioned your believers kind of campaign you're doing. So this is, and correct me if I'm wrong. So it's like a NFT collection, and then some other stuff are going along with it. Is that correct?
No, so I was very very specific to my team. Yes, that I mean everyone is excited NFT because again, as we are too much in that small corner of crypto,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Believer. I mean, if you open the website, Believers is
mhm,
the activation program. It's a BTC5 program. NFT collection is like one manifestation of it. People want to have. I'm not an NFT guy, but many people
mhm,
want to have NFT, and many people expect rewards because of that. This is how the market moves. Everyone wants to be some special group. Everyone wants to have you know everyone wants to feel special,
mhm,
right? And this is how the NFTs grows, I guess. Uh, so yeah, it's one of the manifestation, but Believers it's an activation program. It's a partnership program, right? That we can create like more gravity, share the user base, have that user base for Bitcoin finance that can really interoperate. No matter if you have some protocol in Ethereum or I don't know in some other place, and you will access it through a mobile phone, right? Um, let the people use Bitcoin, then make them connected without compromising on security and decentralization. So this is the goal, yes. Getting the stewardship and reward them, yes. Having that, like the idea 1+1 = 3. That's the goal of Believers. And yeah, one manifestation is NFT, but there are more things that we are planning.
No, lovely. No, that's fantastic. I think the BTC5 kind of angle, or is everybody who's talked about just being able to use Bitcoin for more is really where a lot of the opportunity lies. So, yeah, it's a good idea to get more people aware and thinking about that. Um, Dylan, so I mentioned it earlier, but Conduct is one of the Union Fellows alongside projects like Espresso, which just announced Flora, Sphinx. They're doing some of the stuff that look like you wanted to do early in your career, Robert. I suggest you give them a check. So Dylan, how is this like support and being part of that shape your roadmap, and where do you see maybe opportunities to collaborate across the Union ecosystem?
Yeah, so it's totally shaped our roadmap in a lot of ways. I think One of them is that, so we were originally going to actually use a component with near for interoperability. It kind of sounds like, Robert, maybe you used Intense. And I think we realized that is useful, but one of the interoperability protocols that we were considering, we just didn't think that it was actually, like, for example, they didn't have like EVM or SVM support. And so I think when we started to realize, okay, wait, which protocol has the best all purpose interoperability, it was definitely Union. And then we were like, okay, because the truth is, even though we really care about Bitcoin, we are going to want other types of crypto users to come on and use our platform. And then we actually are going to have other assets at some vague point, but we haven't actually finished implementing
That's
the.
a later thing.
Yeah, at some vague point. My team, it's funny because now we're like professionalizing and we're creating roadmaps, and instead of just maniacally like building things, and it's beautiful, but it's funny because the way that we've traditionally done things is we've said, okay, let's build something, and then we just build it. And now that the team's bigger, like we have to respect that people aren't up at like 3 a.m. or like whatever. But yeah, like some people have families, right? But okay, so
Wild, but yeah.
I know, like, how dare they?
Technically, everyone has a family, right?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true.
And
Um,
sometimes they just want to spend time with them, which that's the weird part.
yeah, yes, or they need to sleep and be awake when their children are awake. But
No.
Actually, let me check with AI. There was the definition of family. How AI defines
yeah.
family. Go on.
Anyway, so I think, so I mean, we also really like that you guys are in testnet, so things are malleable. I think we do have plans to work with some of the other companies that are Bitcoin native in your ecosystem. But I mean, Robert, we need to work together. We just haven't actually set up a call yet. I think like there's also certain tools that if you guys need us to help you build, like we'd be here to do that as well. But we can talk about that like offline. But yeah, I mean, we launched our first long-lived testnet a few weeks ago for only internal team members and stakeholders that are really personal to us, and it ran really well. And then we just launched a second long-lived testnet with more geographical distribution, but it's still just for internal testing. So we're going to run this for a little bit longer before launching one that is a closed beta. So of course, Union's going to be involved in that. We're going to invite the team members. Like, yeah, we're just going to like build stuff concurrently because I think that's the way you need to do it. Because otherwise, if you're just, the thing is, everyone's always updating their tag, then you have to make sure that you get another audit when you're integrating something that just got updated, et cetera. Make sure every version's the same version. And so I like that we're doing this in tandem, and Union is like really central to our story, so to speak. So, yeah.
I love it. Love it. Yes, we'll definitely make sure the two of you are connected after this. That was why I was excited to get both of you on the same stream. But we're running close to time, so I want to give both of you kind of a chance to give a quick last thought or something for all the viewers to go go kind of check out. So Robert, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure, but let me conclude about that family part.
Oh,
So the Mistral AI says that family definition can vary depending on culture, social, and personal perspective, obviously. But in general, a family is a group of people who are related to each other by blood, marriage, or adoption. Yeah, which makes a perfect sense. Just wanted to share, like, since we have like this nice chat here. So yes, like last words to wrap up. Definitely want to like share the enthusiasm about believers, BTC-Fi. Like working together, having that growing perspective. The opportunity is really huge. Yes, we are not able to do it, and I think nobody, like I guess we agree here, nobody can do it alone, right? But
yeah.
this is actually how kind of like the internet operate, right? Internet needs users, needs services, needs like the network. So let's build these believers. Let's make the Bitcoin floating, being used, and follow us. follow Conduct, follow Union. I'm super happy that this ecosystem is growing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we would love for you to be in our family, so to speak. So just follow us at Conduct XYZ and follow
Let
me
me
as
do it
well.
right now.
Conduct_XYZ.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes. So thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you everybody who joined in to watch as well. Definitely give Dylan and Robert, as well as Native and Conduct, a follow. A lot of very cool stuff happening for both of them. I highly suggest you check them out. Thank you for coming. We'll be back for another one of these next week with a couple of new excellent guests. So be sure to tune in then. Cheers, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.